All right. For our cancellation today, we turn our attention to a gender studies master's thesis composed by a student at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Jonathan Kay is an editor at Quillette, and he first brought attention to this on his Twitter page. The document had been available on the university's website, but has since been put under embargo, whatever that's supposed to mean. What it actually means is that the university is embarrassed that the public took note of this, and so they took it out of the public viewing for that reason. All I really need to do is read the first part of the introduction to this thesis. No other commentary is necessary, though I will offer some anyway. So here it is. It's a little lengthy, but it's worth your time, so sit back and enjoy. Here it is. And this is all totally real, by the way, I assure you. As a white first-generation college graduate who attended a mid-sized private university, my identities and experiences inspired this study. My whiteness offers a level of inherent violence to this study because of the history of privilege and structural and overt acts of harm my ancestors have contributed to society. This echoes my experience in identifying as an anti-racist racist who, as a white person, spelled with an X instead of an O, who, as a white person, is inherently racist, but applies and is accountable to anti-racism in my life through activist, educator, and researcher capacities. White supremacy is frequently misunderstood as only pertaining to overt or explicit acts of violence like neo-Nazis or the Ku Klux Klan. However, white supremacy in the context of this study centers the relationship between historical and unconscious bias that benefits whiteness through its structures, policies, culture, and experiences over non-white individuals. Therefore, it is irresponsible for me to begin this study without acknowledging the privileges that I am afforded in conducting this study as a white individual, but also the contribution that I make to violence. Like white supremacy in the academy, violence in the university shows up in different ways than what may be explicitly produced. Violence in the context of this study includes interpersonal violence, like slurs and ignorance, politics that disproportionately have a negative impact on marginalized identities or bodies, the hierarchical misuse of administrative power that make change seem impossible, and the lack of understanding and support given to the marginalized university community. And that's just the first few sentences of the introduction. It's good that they took the whole document off the website. I don't know if you could read much more of that or hear much more of it without slipping irretrievably into insanity. You know, I have many titles: theocratic fascist, philanthropist, Virginia resident. Now I've added children's author to that. But I think the one thing that I was missing is Lord. You know, that's what you need in front of your name. And I now am officially Lord Matt Walsh through established titles. This is my official plaque here affirming that I am Lord Matt Walsh. That is my legal name. Established titles is your opportunity to earn the title of Lord or Lady and gain the respect that you deserve and certainly crave. I know that I do. All you need is a 1 square foot plot of land in Scotland. That's all you need. And Established Titles is a project based on historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds or lords and ladies in English. In your title pack, you'll receive at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate and an official certificate with a crest. Your certificate will include a unique plot number, with which you can see the exact location of your land. With this certificate, you could officially change your name to Lord or Lady and get it on your credit card, plane tickets, etc. Established Titles is having a great limited time sale, so go to establishedtitles.com/Matt Walsh to save 10% off today. And remember to use discount code Matt Walsh or just click the link below. That's establishedtitles.com/Matt Walsh or just click the link below. So let's go through this somewhat haphazardly and make 4 points in no particular order. First, bookmark this podcast and remember that segment and come back to it. This segment, in fact, that we're in right now. And come back to it next time somebody demands that you define critical race theory. Because what you just heard is critical race theory. It's hard to define because it's a jumbled, unintelligible mess. It's like being asked to describe in precise terms the contents of a porta potty. Now, you may not be able to break it all down in specific detail, but what you can say is that whatever's in there, it's a whole bunch of shit. For critical race theory, the particulars are intentionally hard to discern and also irrelevant. Whatever finer distinction it draws, we know that it teaches that white people are inherently racist, that all non-white people are victims of systemic racism, that all white people are beneficiaries of systemic privilege, and that white people all bear guilt because of this, and that also, because of this, they cannot be the victims of racism. Even if a black man beats a white man unconscious and spits on his lifeless body, still that is not racism. And arguably, it's not even violence. Nothing can be racism against the white man. That's what CRT teaches, as we just heard. Second, notice how will and agency are removed from the equation. According to the CRT vision of life, all of the fault lies with systems and institutions and policies and the past. Whites inherit their guilt this way, and non-whites inherit their victimization in the same way. Nobody does anything. Nobody's responsible for anything. We are all helpless, dried up little leaves floating on the wind. The author even says that ignorance is violence, meaning that you can be guilty of violence simply for not knowing something. No willful action is taken on your part. You simply did not encounter certain information, and that makes you violent. Again, there's no agency, there's no choice, there's no will. Third, we see that CRT and leftism as a whole are a religion. But of course, religion isn't bad in and of itself. So I'm always kind of uncomfortable using religion in this kind of pejorative way. Oh, it's just a religion. I have a religion, I'm religious. The problem isn't that it's a religion, the problem is that it's a false religion. And you could tell a false religion because almost everything it says can only be understood within the context of itself. Everything is insular, right, in a false religion. Or in a cult, like Scientology or something. It has no insight or wisdom to offer people who do not subscribe to it. You have to be a believer to see the value or even meaning in any of this. So it's, as I said, it's like Scientology. You know, they indoctrinate you into it little by little. And there are a lot of reasons for that. One of the reasons is that if you just dove into Scientology and they put you all the way up at level 7 or whatever the levels are, and they put you there right away, nothing that you're hearing would make any sense to you because you have to be brought into it slowly and slowly until you kind of adopt the logic, which is an illogic, of this whole system. But from the outside, it's completely ridiculous and has nothing of value to offer anybody. Christianity, which is not a false religion, is not like that. Christianity has wisdom. You know, even if you're not religious, even if you don't believe in Christianity, you can, and many people have, pick up the Gospels and read them, and you'll find much wisdom and insight into the human condition that you don't need to be a Christian to understand or even believe. So that's the difference. And finally, I think I said there were 4 things. So the 4th thing is that this is what you get at college. Okay, I don't need to elaborate on that very much. I have many times in the past. This is college. So if you're a parent and you're thinking about sending your kid to college and plunging yourself or your child into decades of debt, this is what you're paying for, to turn your kid into that. And that is why we must say the person who wrote that thesis is canceled, and gender studies programs are canceled, and the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee is canceled, and really the whole university system, I think, in the end, is canceled. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with all your friends.